Happening today, President Biden and Vice President Harris are visiting Atlanta. The two are making a push for national voting rights legislation. They'll be joined by a host of Congress members, along with state and local leaders and voting rights advocates. Joe Ripley is covering the president's trip on the ground. He joins us from Atlanta with more.
President Biden and Vice President Harris's trip to Atlanta comes in the latest push to pass national voting rights legislation. Right now, those talks are stalled in Congress. The goal by Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer is to have some type of legislation on the floor by Martin Luther King Day. Of course, the significance here, Atlanta known as the cradle of the civil rights movement. President Biden and Vice President Harris are due to make stops here at the King Center while they're in Atlanta, as well as the historic Ebenezer Baptist Church, longtime church where Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. pastored. Of course, Dr. King, very much involved in voting rights back in the 60s, was on hand and had a heavy hand in passing the Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act of 1964, 1965. So very historical significance there. Of course, this is not in a vacuum, of course, after 2020 election cycle that saw Democrats take the House and Senate and two Democrats take Georgia's U.S. Senate seats, as well as President Biden winning Georgia as the first time Democrat to do so in nearly 3 decades. Republican-led states, several of them have pushed back, enacted several overhauls to their election laws, including here in Georgia. So that is something that will be on top of mind for President Biden once he makes remarks here at the AU Center.
Definitely want to keep that route in mind for traffic and planning ahead too. And ahead of the president's visit today, Georgia's Secretary of State is expressing concern that the proposed voting reform will harm election security.
President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris are coming here later today to push for policies that will undermine the integrity of our elections. Just a few miles from here, the President and Vice President will push to change long-standing rules so they can push a partisan bill that rigs the rules of elections to favor Democrats. Make no mistake, this is an attempt to weaken election security under the guise of voting rights.
We will hear more from Georgia's Secretary of State tonight on 11 Alive News at 5.